Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today we're going to be looking at India's budget 2025.
All right.
Specifically, we want to focus on what's in it for the middle class, people who invest in the stock market, and salaried employees.
Right.
So basically all of our listeners. So
Sounds good.
the source for this is going to be the budget speech itself.
Okay.
Which the Finance Minister of India delivered on February 1st.
Right.
We're going to be talking about tax breaks, all that good stuff.
Exciting stuff.
Some great opportunities for growth. A lot more. Should be a really interesting one.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Let's jump right in.
Okay.
So I was really interested by this whole Viksit Bharat thing.
Right.
Developed at India, right?
Right.
So it seems like this is their roadmap.
It's their vision for the future of India.
And I thought it was really interesting how it's not just economic growth. It's like they're trying to improve every sector.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. It's about progress across the board.
Yeah, yeah.
And really, they're aiming for a better future for everyone.
Yeah, I noticed they even they highlighted 6 specific areas that they're focusing on.
Yeah.
Like Garib, youth, Anodata, and Nari.
It's a really exciting vision, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
and it seems like this budget is the first step towards realizing that vision.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, why is this so important for our listeners?
Well, think about it this way. When the economy thrives, everyone benefits. It usually means more jobs, better opportunities for families. Could even mean a boost to your investments.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's all interconnected, really.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I noticed they're increasing the loan limit under Kisan credit cards from 3 lakh to 5 lakh.
Yeah, that's a big jump.
But how does that actually help the farmers? And what does it mean for the average person?
Well, that's a great question. That increase, it gives farmers more resources to invest in things like better technology, seeds, even infrastructure. So theoretically, that could lead to higher crop yields.
Right.
And higher yields can mean lower food prices, which would benefit you directly at the grocery store, right?
Right.
And then, it can even create opportunities for businesses or for people who are investing in the agricultural sector.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I also noticed there's this mission for Atmanirbharta in pulses.
Oh, yeah.
So they're focusing on Tur, Urad, and Mazur.
Right.
And they're using NAFED and NCCF to procure those pulses directly from the farmers.
Interesting strategy.
So what's going on there?
Well, it seems like the goal is to make India less reliant on imported pulses. By having NAFED and NCCF procured directly, it could help stabilize market prices for those pulses. And of course, ensure that the farmers are getting fair compensation. Yeah. And in the end, it just means there's going to be more of these, staple foods available to people. So big step towards food security. Could also, create some investment opportunities in the ag sector.
Cool. All right, now let's move on to small businesses and startups.
Okay.
So the budget is proposing an enhanced credit guarantee cover for MSMEs and startups.
Okay.
Now, how does that connect to the whole, economic growth plan?
Well, think of it this way. When small businesses have easier access to credit, it gives them the fuel they need to expand.
Right.
They can hire more people, maybe bring new ideas to the market. And a strong startup ecosystem is usually a sign of a healthy, growing economy.
Okay.
It's good news for job seekers, obviously. Good news for investors. And, ultimately it helps to stabilize the market overall.
All right. That makes sense. Now let's get to the part everyone really cares about, the taxes.
Okay.
So new income tax slabs.
Right.
A higher rebate. What does that actually mean for, the average person who has a salary? Are we really going to see any savings here?
Well, this is where the government's trying to put more money back in the pockets of the middle class. So with those new slabs and the higher rebate, a lot of salaried employees could see some pretty significant savings.
Okay.
Just imagine having some extra cash each month to invest or even just spend on the things you enjoy.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Right. More money in your pocket.
That always sounds good.
Always a good thing.
But how does that affect the entire economy? Is it just about, individual savings, or is there something bigger happening here?
Well, it's more than just saving. You see, when people have more money to spend, they tend to spend more. So that boosts demand for goods and services.
Yeah.
Businesses grow, they hire more people.
Right.
And that ultimately contributes to a stronger economy. So it's kind of this positive cycle.
It all comes back around.
Exactly.
Okay, so besides putting more money in our pockets, this budget also mentions a couple interesting things for investors. Swami Fund 2
Yeah.
for those stalled housing projects.
Yeah.
And a new asset monetization plan. So what are those all about?
So those are basically strategic moves to kind of unlock value in existing assets,
Okay.
attract new investment. Swami H Fund 2, that's aimed at reviving those stalled housing projects.
Right.
And that could create some new opportunities for real estate investors, right?
Okay.
Asset monetization plan, that's about leasing out government assets that aren't really being used, generate some revenue, and attract private sector participation.
Okay.
So both of those can be good news for investors.
Okay, so potentially good news if you're interested in real estate or infrastructure, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are there any other areas where the government's really trying to get more investment, especially like, from foreign investors?
Yeah, definitely. So they highlighted the increase in the FDI limit for the insurance sector, and they're emphasizing the potential for growth in areas like shipbuilding, tourism, things like that. The idea is, by opening up those sectors, they can attract more capital, expertise, and technology from overseas.
Yeah.
And that can lead to more growth, create more jobs.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, let's circle back to those tax reforms for a second.
Sure.
You mentioned the new tax labs and a higher rebate.
Right.
But can you give us some specifics on how that's actually going to work?
Yeah. One of the main changes is just simplifying the whole tax structure. So the finance minister specifically mentioned a significant tax benefit for anyone earning up to 12 lakh per year.
Okay.
The goal is to make sure that segment doesn't have to pay any income tax. And when you factor in the standard deduction for salaried individuals, that threshold actually goes up to 12.75 lakh.
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
Good news. That's pretty good news for a lot of people.
Yeah, for a lot of people. Less tax means more money.
To save, invest.
Exactly. Spend whatever you want.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I sometimes get confused by all this tax jargon. Can you maybe break down some of the other changes they're making, especially when it comes to things like TDS and TCS?
Yeah, sure. So they're also trying to simplify things related to tax deducted at source and tax collected at source. So fewer TDS rates, higher threshold limits. That should make it easier for taxpayers, especially smaller ones.
Right.
So, for example, they're raising the threshold for collecting TCS on remittances under the liberalized remittance scheme from 7 lakh to 10 lakh.
So if I'm sending money abroad,
yeah,
I don't have to worry about TCS until I hit that higher threshold.
That's right.
Okay, good to know. Are there any other changes related to TPS that, might affect me?
Yeah, there are a couple. So they're getting rid of TCS on remittances for educational purposes if they're financed through loans from certain institutions.
Got it.
Which is great, encouraging higher education without adding a bunch of extra costs for students.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good change.
Definitely a good change.
So they're trying to, simplify the system and make it easier for people to pay taxes.
Yeah.
What about if you make an honest mistake on your filings? Is there anything in there for that?
Yeah. They want to encourage people to comply voluntarily.
Okay.
So they're extending the time limit for filing updated returns from 2 years to 4 years.
Wow.
So if you made an honest mistake, you got more time to fix it. Avoid those penalties.
Yeah.
It's kind of showing some trust in taxpayers, right?
Yes.
While also, encouraging them to be responsible.
Right.
It's a good balance.
Okay, that's pretty helpful. It's good to know you've got some extra time.
Takes the pressure off.
Yeah. What about businesses? Yeah. Specifically, businesses that are operating, internationally. Are there any changes that might affect them?
Yeah, so they're introducing this presumptive taxation regime for non-residents who are providing services to electronics manufacturing facilities in India, which basically just means it's a simpler way to figure out taxable income, makes it easier for those non-residents to operate in India.
Right.
There's also a safe harbor provision for non-residents who are storing components for supply to specific electronics manufacturing units.
So it sounds like they're really trying to attract foreign investment to the electronics sector.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Why is that?
Well, India wants to be a global hub for electronics manufacturing.
Okay.
Right. So by making the tax process easier, offering incentives, they're hoping that foreign companies will set up shop here.
Yeah.
And that could lead to, a boost in domestic manufacturing, more jobs, and potentially even make India more competitive.
In the
global market.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've covered a lot from tax reforms to these investment opportunities.
Yeah, we have.
What are some of the other measures in this budget that you think are really interesting, particularly those that are focused on this whole Viksit Bharat thing.
Well,
Yeah.
well, aside from what we've already talked about, there's a big emphasis on infrastructure.
Yeah.
Building new highways and railways, airports.
Yeah.
So, that not only improves, connectivity around the country, but it also creates jobs, boosts the economy.
Yeah. And I saw that they're putting a lot of focus on renewable energy and sustainable development.
Yeah.
Like solar power, green hydrogen, even electric vehicles. It seems like they're trying to,
Balance.
yeah, absolutely grow the economy, but also,
Be responsible.
yeah.
Yeah. And that's crucial, right? For the long term, you can't just grow without thinking about the environment. They're also focusing on, making sure people have the skills they need for the future.
Right. Right.
Improving vocational training and higher education. So they're really trying to prepare the workforce for those new jobs.
That's really cool. It seems like they're trying to, create this really like holistic development plan.
Yeah.
It's not just one or two things. It's everything at once.
Exactly.
But I mean, anytime you have these big plans, there's always challenges.
Right.
So what are some of the things that could, get in the way of actually making this all happen?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is always implementation, right? You
Yeah.
can have a great plan on paper, but, actually turning that into reality, that takes efficient execution. You need coordination across all the different ministries.
Yeah.
You got to overcome those bureaucratic hurdles that always seem to pop up.
Right. A great plan doesn't mean it's going to be easy.
Exactly.
What about, external factors like, what's happening with the global economy? Could that affect how successful this budget is?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the global economy is constantly changing.
Yeah.
Things like international trade, commodity prices going up and down, even geopolitical uncertainties.
Yeah.
All of those things can have an impact. I mean, the finance minister even mentioned this.
Oh, really?
Yeah. She talked about the potential impact of global headwinds
Right.
on economic growth.
So you're saying that even if they have a good budget, stuff can still happen.
Now, things can still happen.
That mess it.
They're outside of their control.
Right. Okay. What about internal factors like within India?
Yeah.
What are some of the challenges there?
Well, things like infrastructure bottlenecks, right? Skill gaps in the workforce and just, differences in development from region to region.
Right.
Those could all pose challenges to achieving this Viksit Bharat vision.
So it sounds like it's going to take more than just the government, right?
Yeah.
It's going to take businesses and,
Yeah, private sector needs to be involved, civil society, even, citizens themselves.
everyone has to play their part.
It's a collective effort.
Yeah.
The budget lays out the roadmap, but everyone needs to help
Okay.
to get to the destination, right? It's about creating the right environment where businesses can thrive, individuals have opportunities, and we prioritize sustainable development.
So there are challenges, but it also sounds like there's a lot of
Optimism, excitement, yeah.
like it's a really a turning point
Could be.
for
Sure.
India.
Definitely potential there.
So what are your final thoughts on this budget? Like, what should our listeners really take away from this?
Well, I think the main takeaway is this. This budget offers a vision of hope. It's a path towards Viksit Bharat. And even though there are challenges, the potential rewards are huge.
Yeah.
It's really a call to action for everyone to get involved, help build the future. The government is focusing on key sectors like agriculture, infrastructure, manufacturing, services.
Right.
Those are the engines they believe will, move India forward.
Wow. That's a lot to think about.
It is, yeah.
This has been a really fascinating deep dive.
It has.
I feel like we've just, scratched the surface.
Yeah, we have. But that's the thing about a deep dive. There's always more to explore, right?
Yeah.
Always more connections to make. But for now, you've got a good overview of this budget and what it could mean.
Okay. Cool. Well said. Remember, it's not just about understanding the budget.
No.
It's about, engaging with it, questioning it,
Right.
and being part of the conversation.
Absolutely.
Keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
Yeah.
Until next time.